So there was this guy. His name was Timothy, and he was known as the Grizzly Man. I don't know if you've ever heard this story before, but but he was but he was made famous for being killed by a grizzly bear. Now, the story behind that is he was a conservationist and he fell in love with the bears and he thought he could become friends with the bears. And he decided that he had become so friendly with the bears, he lost respect for the bears. And he and his girlfriend went out one lovely weekend in 2003, and they didn't make it home because the bears decided they'd have enough of Timothy. And he went out. It wasn't quite, they'd just come out of hibernation season. He didn't give it enough time. He thought that even though he knows the natural instincts of bears and he knows the natural, the way they work, that, oh, they know me, I'll be fine. And it wasn't. Because he lost respect for it. He forgot that bears are pretty gnarly creatures in the wild. I don't know if you've ever seen the video of the bear chasing the moose, and the moose was not having it. Some of those grizzly bears stand 8-9 foot tall. It's not Teddy Ruxpin. Ooh, that's a way 80s. That's way 80s. I was gonna do Care Bears, but I was like, no, that's way too. I did Ruxpin. Oof, oofta. So, they're cute when they're like little adult children. They're like this big. They're cute. When they get this big, no. But he lost respect. He lost the sight of, I can appreciate these things, but I need to respect them. Even in my field of being a service technician and all that, there's welding and electrical stuff that we deal with, and it's just construction. And anyone in construction will tell you, you lose respect for the tools and they'll come back and hurt you really quick. And sometimes we kind of lose respect for God. We kind of forget. And it's, God is love. We can all agree with that. But God is not harmless. God wants you to be with him in eternity, or he wouldn't have sent his son to pay your price to get there. But he also requires justice in his name if you don't accept that gift. And sometimes we walk, even as Christians, I figured we'd start out in Romans. We're going to start there. I don't have these up on the slides, but we're going to start in Romans, in my favorite chapter, Romans chapter 1. And some people read this and they think, that ain't for me. He's talking about those people. Chapter 1, we'll start in verse 21. It says, for although they knew God, they neither glorified him as God nor gave thanks to him. But their thinking became futile, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like a mortal human being and birds and animals and reptiles. Therefore, God gave them over in the sinful desires of their hearts to sexual impurity, for the degrading of their bodies with one another. They exchanged the truth about God for a lie and worshiped and served created things rather than the Creator, who is forever praised. Amen. Because of this, the most scary verse in the Bible, God gave them over to shameful lusts. Even their women exchanged natural sexual relations for unnatural ones. In the same way, the men also abandoned the natural relations with women and were inflamed with lust for one another. Men committed shameful acts with other men and received in themselves the due penalty for their error. Furthermore, just as they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, so God gave them over to a depraved mind, so that they knew what ought not be done. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, and depravity. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, and malice. They are gossips, slanderers, God-haters, insolent, arrogant, and boastful. They invent ways of doing evil. They disobey their parents. That's God's humor. That's got to be God's humor. They're murderers, they're sinners, they're fornicators, and you didn't clean your room. They have no understanding, no fidelity, no love, no mercy. Although they know God's righteous decree that those who do such things deserve death, they not only continue to do these very things, but also approve of those who practice them. I'm not talking about the lost, sinful world in that. I would challenge that sometimes, not individually, but sometimes the church itself gets in its way of doing that very thing. You see, the creation starts fighting the Creator. Because used to tell the youth this all the time. We think Jesus is a genie. We think that Christianity is as long as you're a good person, but the Bible teaches you there's none good, not even one. And we take Jesus and we put him in this bottle and we put him up on our shelf and, oh, I need $200 for the light bill. You rub the bottle, Jesus, I need $200. Or you have anything you want. I need a new car. You rub the bottle and Jesus is supposed to just pop out. And it becomes a transactional thing. I will follow you if you do these things. I'm a good person on my own, so I just need these things to follow. And Jesus, it's kind of comical, but it's not spirit sprinkle fingers, jazz hands Jesus that you're called to serve. You're called to serve Jesus even if you need it and you don't get it. Even if that financial hardship takes everything you got, you still have Jesus. And fast forward to the book of Revelations, you'll find out that Jesus is the point of it all. That's the ball game. When you get to eternity, when you get to heaven, when you get your crowns, when you get your mansions, that's not the point. The point is Jesus. Sin wasn't free by any stretch of the imagination. You just didn't have to pay it. He did. He paid for it with his own life at the cross. So live accordingly. And so that's not the end of the story, thank goodness. Barely scratching the middle. All the way back in the New Testament, it kind of gives us a roadmap of how to get there. Psalm 24. That's where we're going to park ourselves at today. Let me know when you get there. I like to read. I don't like to do the slide thing. Nathan, start doing the slide things. The earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it, for he founded it on the seas and established it on the waters. So the question is, who may ascend the mountain of the Lord? Who may stand in his holy place? The one who has clean hands and a pure heart, who does not trust in an idol or swear by a false god. Now that seems pretty easy. That seems pretty self-explanatory. But clean hands and a pure heart, do you actually know what that means? Do you actually know what clean hands and a pure heart is? A pure heart is not having hate. Not having hatred towards anyone, not having hatred towards anything. If someone does you wrong, you forgive them. Now, cautionary tale. And I don't want everyone to answer out loud all at once. Kind of keep this to yourself. If you say you have forgiven someone, but I can't trust you, did you forgive them? If you say, I forgive you, but I'm going to love you from afar, did you actually forgive them? There should be no conditions on forgiveness. There should be, that's restitution. That's a legal term. Forgiveness in your heart is absolving you of that hate. Because when you can't forgive somebody, do you know that you carry that burden a whole lot heavier and a whole lot deeper than the person that you choose not to forgive? Because let's just face it, the world we live in, some people don't even care that you forgave them. They don't care. They did you wrong. They know they did you wrong, and then they walk away, and it becomes important for you, for your testimony, for your walk, to say, I forgive you. You may not be able to tell that person. You may not be able to look that person eye to eye and say that I forgive you. But when you promise the promise of forgiveness, who are you giving that to? That person? Or are you saying, God, I acknowledge that I am a lowly sinner. I have done more wrong to you than anyone else that I know, and yet you still forgave me. Because you forgave me, I will forgive them. Sometimes when you get into a church setting, I said this Wednesday night, and I'm going to expound upon this. So y'all got a little bit of a preview of what we were going to talk about tonight. When you stand on this platform or at the front of that altar, the stairs, and you say, yes, I am accepting the invitation to be a deacon, or I'm accepting the invitation to be staff, or whatever in the name of church. If you say you're doing that for the church, you have done it for the wrong reason. That is not a promise that you are making to the congregation or the pastor or elders that you're going to carry out inside the four walls of this building. That is a promise that you're making to God. And you're saying that you have called me by my name. You have called me out of this group to be a leader, to be a disciple from your house. I promise to you that I'm going to fulfill that mission. The outflow of that, or the fruit of that, is the congregation gets the benefits of you. But that promise comes with one thing. It's a one word that nobody likes. I don't like it. I don't like it. But that promise comes with one thing. It's called sacrifice. To be able to tell God that I'm going to step in where you want me to step in, which means you're not going to be able to step in other places. You're going to have to make a conscious decision. I have made a promise to my Creator. And you have to fulfill that promise. Because if you don't fulfill that promise, it's not like, poof, you're gone, lightning bolt, and you go away. But anybody ever hear the story of the fig tree? You become useless, he'll just move away and he'll go somewhere else. But the grace of God is even if that happens, there still comes a point where you can say, I have sinned against you. I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. I got ahead of you. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Help me. Give me the strength to make the sacrifices need be made to carry out the position that you've called me into. Dads, that's you. Mothers, that's you. Uncles, for whatever reason, it's you. Uncles are crazy. Uncles are the reason why we get in trouble most of the time. Ain't that right, Chris? I just said that to see if he was still awake. So the first thing is pure heart, clean hands. If you've done someone wrong, you've asked for forgiveness. If someone comes to you for forgiveness, you freely give it, and you walk with them in it. Christianity is about restoration, by the way. It's not about condemnation. It's not about judgment. It's not about throwing or casting to the side. It's about it is about resurrection, rescue, and reconciliation to God. And so the next thing is, does not trust an idol or swear by a false god. Okay. Well, how can a church or members of a church worship an idol? That doesn't compute. That doesn't sound, I'm here in church. I'm not worshiping an idol. I'm worshiping Jesus. Well, number one, the biggest idol you will ever worship stares you back in the mirror every morning. As a pseudo musician, I don't know, is that the proper term? Am I a musician, Mike? Or I just, that thing right there can become an idol that fast. That little black box with the blinky lights to tell you what mode you have it in can become an idol that fast. Standing up here and you're playing or you're singing and you're like, all these people think I'm awesome because I can make these noises. You have just made the stage your idol. And you worship at the foot of your instrument. Always wanting to be recognized for what you do. You know, that's my pew. Well, chair. That's my chair. Don't you see my name on it? It's got a plaque. That's mine. You know, it's funny. I see everything from the crow's nest. I don't know why they call it the crow's nest. It's called the crow's nest. I see everything. And as a pastor, I better not see anyone walk up to a stranger and say, "Excuse me, you're in my seat." Because I've seen it in this church. Sometimes we got to get out of our own way, guys. We just have to get out of our own way. This ain't about you. This ain't about us. It's about Him. It's about Jesus Christ. It's about His sacrifice that He made for us to God on the cross so that we could be with Him forever in fellowship and eternity. Continue on verse 5. Those who have clean hands and a pure heart, they will receive blessing from God and vindication from God their Savior. Such is the generation of those who seek Him, who seek your face, God of Jacob. What do you want? You want God or you want His stuff? The world belongs to Him and everything in it. We can agree with that, right? So that pickup truck is actually God's. The guitar is actually God's. So do you want God or do you want His stuff? God cannot look on evil. God cannot be in the presence of evil. Seek His hand or seek His face. What does seek His face mean? Seek His face means you want Him to see you. You want Him to look and go, "That's one of mine. I called him or her. That's mine." Too many times we want God's stuff. We want God to fill this congregation and every chair in it. Do you know how cluster that would be for us? Do you know how chaotic a morning it would be for this congregation as we sit today if all of a sudden 200 people showed up? You talk about, I don't know what Mike would do. Sherry, we didn't print enough programs. Stuart, we got to get the chairs. Chris Nearing would be like a bull, just bang, bang. Are we truly ready for that? We say we are. We say we want it. Billy, love him. He's my cousin. He's my shepherd. That's weird to say, but that's the truth of the matter. Curses Rachel every year. I want 150 kids here. Are we ready for 150 kids? Let's be honest. What's more valuable, 150 kids to make us look like we're doing something, or we actually preach the gospel to 3 kids to their face to where they could understand what was being taught? Sometimes size ain't everything. Size of your bank account means nothing to God. Size of your house means nothing to God. The size of relevance that you've made up in your mind that you have towards whatever doesn't mean anything to God. Lift your heads, you gates. Be lifted up, you ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, you gates. Lift them up, you ancient doors, so that the King of glory may come in. Who is He, this King of glory? The Lord Almighty. He is the King of glory. Now, when that was written, or when that was sung by David, that's a psalm of David, a poem, a song of David. when that was sung, that would have been done through, how would you be a righteous man? You would go to the temple. You would offer sacrifice to the priest so the priest could sacrifice to atone for your sins. Well, we don't do that anymore. We don't have sacrifices. We don't get the little baby goats that faint and do the thing to them. I want a baby goat that faints. I want a farm of fainting goats. Just when you're having a bad day, just and then they Sorry, we don't have sacrificial system here. Or do we? Or do we? What's the one thing that they say makes you appreciate life more than anything else? What's the one thing? It's death. The death of a close one, the death of a loved one, just death in general makes you appreciate life. So what does Jesus say? Die to yourself. How better to appreciate the life that God has for you than to die today to yourself? Let him lead you. And that's what happens with this. It's saying have a pure heart. Well, I don't know how to forgive. Jesus will walk with you. I don't know how to have clean hands and all this. I have a problem. Jesus will walk with you through it. I don't know how to let go of that feeling that I need people to see me doing this or I'm not worth anything. Jesus will walk with you through that. Jesus will take it from you. You just have to give it to him. Have to be willing to die to yourself. It's not about me. One of the favorite songs that I love to hear the band play is Only Jesus. I don't want anybody to say anything about me other than that dude at one time was twisted, then he met Jesus, and then he met Jesus again, and then he met Jesus again. Because if it wasn't for fifth and sixth chances, I would not be here. Then Jesus got a hold of him at the end of his rope, and he became this. And coming from this to this, the only difference is Jesus. Jesus did that. He didn't do that. There's no self-help book in the world that would help me. Dave Ramsey could not help me with my financial situation. Only Jesus can. That's the largest section of any bookstore. Have you noticed that? The self-help section is the largest. And it's all fleeting. It's all going to be gone. The only thing we have to hold on to in this world, especially in today's world, is the fact that Jesus called us by name, pulled us out of the darkness. We accepted the gift that he gave us, which was his death, his sacrifice, to atone for our sins. And then he promised that he would walk with us every day to keep us in line. Problem is, we get in front of him, we get behind him, or worse off, we lose respect for him and dignity for him and say, I got it from here. Take a break, Jesus. I can handle it from here on out. You laugh, but is that not what we do? I do it all the time. I can't tell you the amount of times I've had to go home and I have a certain look on my face, apparently. And instead of how was your day, it's what did you do? What do you mean, what did I do? You've done something. I felt it in the force. And then I have to confess, and then she yells at me. She doesn't yell at me. I just want you to believe that. If she's watching, she'll be walking through here in 3, 2, she's not watching. The pattern repeats itself. The only thing that breaks the pattern is Jesus. And the funny thing about it is, when we preach the gospel to someone or we give them the gospel, we've become their friend. We've now earned the right to share what makes us different from everybody else, and it's Jesus. And we give them the gospel, and we talk to them. They think they're going to lose everything about themselves. And yeah, you're going to lose some stuff, but the beauty of it is God made you a certain way with plans in mind for you. He'll take what you think is not good. He'll take what you think you can't control or what is out of control. He'll take that and he'll use it for his purposes. And believe it or not, the purpose he has for you is eternal joy, not happiness. The Bible never once time talks about God just wants you happy. Happiness is fleeting. Joy is tangible. It's so interesting to see people that are happy or smiling and just have this aura of just, why are you so happy all the time? I don't understand you. Be angry once, please. And they just can't because, all right, here we go. There's a story. I was in Jordan one time, the country, not the shoe. And I was talking to a guy that was about to get kicked out of his house because he was a Christian and the landlord was a Muslim. And his family were from Syria, so they could get no assistance through the Jordanian government because they're not a citizen. And so they would dig in the trash and grab bread and scraps out of the trash, take it home, cut it up, let it dry out, and then they would sell that to sheep herders as feed. And they literally have nothing. They just came from a war-torn area. And the guy is sitting there, and he's just almost bubbly. The kind of bubbly that irritates people. And everybody's asking him questions. Tony Sizemore is there. And Tony asked him about the historical relevance of everything that's happening. And will it be in a museum at this time? Or Dave Mell is there crying. And I love Dave. Dave Mell is such an awesome person. I miss him. He's like 17 feet tall. And his wife is like this tall. I mean, it's but David's there, and you know, David's the emotional guy. And Dale is there and doing Dale things. And I couldn't help it. I'm like, dude, why are you so happy? You are literally at the lowest point in your existence. You were tore out of your home by a war that wasn't your fault. Your kids are almost starving. You're about to be kicked out of your house. What is going on? And the guy goes, I got my family and I got Jesus. What more do I need? That was day 2 of my trip, and I felt pretty worthless as a human for the rest of that trip because that to this day, as you can tell, just sticks with me. That's the problem with this society that we live in. We got too much stuff. We got too much access to stuff. We got too much access. We're the stupidest people that have ever been on this planet. And we have more access to more information in the palm of your hands than at any other time in history. But why? Wouldn't it be interesting? Just take this for what it's worth. Wouldn't it be just really interesting if at some point you took as much time of what my son calls doom scrolling through various social media platforms or Amazon, you know who you are. I are one of those. Facebook Marketplace. What if you took some of that time where you were trying to make yourself feel better? Because that's why we do stuff like that. Let's just be honest. Let's be open with each other today. We go on those social media platforms and we go into those shopping accounts and we go to Temu and Shine or Sheen or whatever it is, Etsy and eBay, and we go to all those places and we want, because it makes us happy to put that stuff in our cart. We don't have any intention of buying it, hopefully. We just love it. We love seeing this stuff. For whatever reason, teenagers now, they live on Instagram and Snapchat or whatever it is. I'm not a Snapchat person. And you know there's millionaires out there that have made industry out of lying to you, and you're just sucker enough to believe it. And now you got a whole generation of kids going, well, if I don't have at least a Gallardo, it's a Lamborghini, Gallardo by the time I'm 21, and I'm not stacking, how do they say it? What's the lingo? Some young one, Maggie, help me out. What is it? Stacking racks at, that's what happens when I try to sound youthful and hip. I'm like Nathan, I break a hip. What if we took that time and shut ourselves out from that nonsense, went and sat out on the front porch, went and sat in a room, went and sit outside. Some of y'all need some vitamin D. Go sit outside. And instead of looking for all the stuff in this world to make you feel good, why don't you have a conversation with the Father? Why don't you unload yourself on Him? God, I just don't know what's going on right now. I don't even know how to pray to you about what I want because everything is going wrong. How about we take that time? It's funny, we never have time. We never have any time of it. But everybody's like seeing everything on Netflix. Everybody's seen like everything on YouTube. I'm confessing to you as much as I am preaching to you. What if we just stop, took a minute, say, I want to step outside of my situation right now. And I want God, look at that. Show me what you want to do. Help me. Help me see your plan. Give me the guidance that I need to make this go away, come out for the better. I need you to step into this and take this off of me because I can't handle it. And then you have to do something very, very uncomfortable. You have to find the one. And you have to say, brother or sister, I'm asking God to help me with this, and I just don't see it. Can you pray with me? Can you come alongside? Because that's when a church gets the strongest, is when you can lay yourself down and be humble enough to say, I need help. I need somebody to help me with this. It takes a stronger person to admit that they need help person who says, I'm going to do it on my own. White knuckle discipline may get you a few steps forward, but it won't get you all the way. So, what does all this mean? Where are we going with this? What do we need this for? Because unfortunately, there is a generation out there who think that they're going to heaven just because they went to church. There's a generation out there that feel that they're going to heaven because their parents went to church. There is a huge generation that have been taught a false gospel. God is love. Jesus just wants you to be happy, brother or sister. You go do you. It's the worst advice that could come from this platform. Do not do you. Do Jesus. And we've got to break that cycle. We've got to. Doesn't matter how big your church is. I know some pretty large churches that are just as solid as this church. And I know some large churches that are fluff. I don't want to be fluff. I want to be disciples. I want to be a part of a congregation, a family. The proper translation of ecclesia. I want to be a part of that. If I never stepped foot on the platform and played another note on a guitar or bass, if I become unable to climb the stairs to touch that sound console, as long as I got you guys, what's the problem? We have each other. And so, through the grace of God, he gave rules. And those rules were, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not covet your neighbor's wife. You know, the 10. He knew we couldn't keep it. He was just trying to give you an example of what it takes to be with him. And then Christ came. If that miracle wouldn't have happened, then what's the point? Jesus came to this earth, and he lived the perfect life. Even preaching when he was 12 in the temple, I would have got beat up by my mother had I disappeared. If I would have told her, am I not to preach in my dad's house? Not today. He came to live the perfect life, to show us what it took to be with the Father in heaven. And then he willingly went to the cross. You didn't have to force him. He knew it was coming since the day he was born. The man of sorrows that lived a life of death, dying to himself every day to do the Father's will, so that he could be the sacrifice that we wouldn't have to pay, because he paid it. And he went on that cross and willingly laid down. And they hoisted him in the air with a sign above his head that said, the King of the Jews. From the cross, still preaching to those around, hoping that at least somebody would understand in his final moments who he was. He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. That was not a statement of condemnation. That was not a statement of prayer to God. That was actually preaching the Old Testament. That's in the Psalms. To those standing there. And with as much gentleness as he came into the earth, he left. He said, "It is finished." Tetelestai. Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. And for 3 days, the world was dark and there was no hope. Hope was gone for 3 days. I don't care if you think the earth is only 6,000 years old or if you think the earth is millennia old. There's only been 3 days ever in the existence of the creation that were without hope. But on that third day, hope came back and said, "Here I am. Accept the gift that I've given you and follow me. Take up your cross every day. Die to yourself. Seek the face of my Father so that we can live together in eternity." And then when he left, he ascended to heaven. He left us with a charge. Go out and make disciples as I've made you. And that's the purpose of the church. Be disciples, making disciples, making disciples. So, band to come forward. If you want to know more about seeking God's face, about this gift we talk about, this gift of salvation, what is that? The Bible tells us today is the day of salvation. Not tomorrow, today. The altar is open. If you need to do work and you need to wrestle with something, you need to get something and give it to him, the altar is open. The band is going to play their invitation song. Deacons are, you have Ross there, you have Stu there, you have Chris there. Chris was there. Now I don't see Chris. Sneaky Chris. Miss Faye's there if you need help. Miss Barbara's sitting right there if you need help. Miss Louise is sitting right there if you need to talk to someone. Don't be scared. The altar is open for you.